Let's dig in. Time to roll. Legally served. Attorney Franz Borghardt. What's happening, brother?
Do you spell foul play O-U or W? Foul play. Where do you want to start? I'm ready to jump in. We only have so much time. Do we want to talk about overdosing on drugs and drug dealers?
I wanted to talk about this guy out in Walker, but the overdosing on drugs is a bigger topic to me because there's so much that's left unexplained.
Okay.
Or poorly explained, or maybe we just don't get it. And that's really the reason we do this segment.
So, in the bigger picture, our colleague, Alondra, asked the question, well, if I deal drugs to somebody and they take, and I quote, a hell of a lot of them, like not as if there's a normal amount of drugs to take versus a, quote, hell of a lot of them.
Right.
And they OD and die.
Well, I mean, there is a, I don't want to say a prescribed amount for like heroin, but there's definitely a window there where you feel real good, or else people wouldn't do it.
Like everybody would be like, bro, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So here's the answer. We have in our law.
You're not going to make it to Train Spotting 2.
Yeah, we have in our law something called the felony murder doctrine.
Okay.
That if I do certain felonies, and during the course and scope of that felony, if a murder happens, even if I didn't intend a death happens, even if I didn't intend to.
Right.
Like, for example, the classic example is I'm robbing a bank. I didn't want to kill anybody. I didn't plan on killing anybody. But during the bank robbery, something happens to where, like, the gun accidentally goes off, shoots somebody, and they die.
Yeah.
That's felony murder doctrine.
Right.
Okay? Dealing drugs, possession with intent to distribute. The actual distribution of a drugs fits into that framework, and you could be charged, whether the drugs are laced with fentanyl or not, you could be charged with felony murder.
We're going to get back to the lace with fentanyl in a minute. But, like, a good example here is, like, you shot Marvin.
Right.
You shot Marvin. Like, you hit a bump. I didn't hit no bump. You shot Marvin.
Man, I shot Marvin in the face.
So that was in the commissioning or the execution of another felony.
Correct.
When Vincent Vega shot
Marvin.
Marvin.
The Pulp Fiction example of the home invasion murder that leads to flight, that leads to Vincent shooting Marvin into the face could theoretically be not an accidental, it could be felony murder.
Right. Okay.
In the same way that dealing drugs could be felony murder.
And I bring that up because it's a gunshot.
Right.
So if I sell you drugs and you OD right in front of my face,
right,
I can be charged with murder.
Correct.
Okay. What if I sell you a gun and you put it to your head and pull the trigger?
Or if I sell you a gun and then you kill somebody else, gun manufacturers, right?
That was a movie.
Right. So the issue is our law does not prescribe the selling of guns as a felonious activity like it does the distribution of narcotics.
Gotcha.
Heroin.
Hang on. We're going to go one step further.
Heroin.
What if I steal a gun and sell it to you and then you commit a crime?
If you steal a gun, I don't think that's a prescribed felony in the felony murder doctrine.
So I still wouldn't be charged in that case?
Probably not. You could be charged with some kind of other crime. Like, if I come across somebody who has overdosed taking hella drugs, and I see them and they have money and stuff on them, and I take the money and stuff from them, that may be a felony, but it may not be connected to the death.
And this brings us back around to where we are with Nathan Millard. No, it was good. It was good. We took a whole little walk right there.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to have to pause the walk, though, because we're coming up on news here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to check ABC News. We'll check our local news. We will check traffic. We will check weather. Going to be back in the 80s again today. Now we get to complain about the heat. I love how you complain about the cold and the heat within a 2-day span. It's fantastic. It's Louisiana. Also, we're bracing ourselves for a lot of rain on Friday. Marissa will have all that for you coming up, but about 6 minutes from right now. Right now, it is 6:30 at Talk 107.3 FM. We'll check ABC News. After that, the conversation will continue a little bit more about the Nathan Millard case, and then we'll go out to Walker for a retrial. He's attorney Franz Borghardt. We do Legally Served every Wednesday as part of Mornings with Brian Haldane. We are back next.
Now.
We were still on the air. I said we're back next, and you said now.
I'm sorry. So now, if I know that the drugs are laced with fentanyl,
yes,
and I sell the fentanyl-laced drugs, is there an argument for poisoning?
Yes.
That is different. That is potentially different. Still felony murder doctrine. So here's my question about Taylor Swift. permission to ask a question about Taylor Swift.
Permission.
I could
granted.
see how any man would look at Taylor Swift and be like, she's beautiful, she's talented, she cray, but she is on the surface. I might have trust issues that if we break up, she's going to include me in her next album. She's not. You'd have to be. You have to be famous enough to where you know who she's talking about, John Mayer. So listen. My point is she like a mechanical bull to where everybody wants to ride the mechanical bull, but you know that you're never going to be able to stay on the mechanical bull?
Make it the worst relationship ever so that she would write a song about me and I would be like, no, you're not the one that said it, but were you there? You weren't there? Might have been Taylor saying that. Yeah, I don't know. But somebody said I would date Taylor Swift.
Continue. Is that the path you're walking down?
So my question becomes, is she like a mechanical bull?
Yeah.
We know that we're not going to be able to sustain a relationship with her, but everybody wants to try.
Yeah.
Right? They want to put the quarter in the machine. And look.
Have you ever rode a mechanical
Yes,
bull?
I've been kicked off very quickly. Does that shock you? My point is, I imagine a relationship with Taylor Swift when it's good. Yeah. It's like an amazing roller coaster to where there's the peaks and the valleys. But like, I can also see her like just waking up, like staring at you and being like, it's that cray factor. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with this.
I don't see.
Or sustainable.
Screw sustainable. I don't see it being fun.
I don't know.
It's being regimented.
So how do you fix the optics? So here's the question for Brian when he comes back. How do you fix the optics marketing PR problem that is facing our city right now when it comes to talking about the crime, discussing the crime, and discussing how we address individual crime and cases? Because like the foul play thing is a great example, right? Like, I would almost rather them not say anything until they can give good information.
Keith says that fits on the hot to crazy matrix.
She does fit on the hot to matrix. There's a chart. There's a graph. There's a graph.
Like the hotter.
Or Byron said, my rule is to never date a woman that would cover every square inch of bathroom counter space. Swift seems that type. Yikes.
Swift strikes me as the I'm eating.
I take up a lot of counter space.
Taylor Swift strikes me as the I'm eating peanut butter out of a peanut butter jar in bed and then with a spoon and looking at you like what?
Eric.
But I don't see her like I see
like crazy 24/7.
Right. Like she spends her spare time like she watches garbage television while she's on a Stairmaster.
Oh.
Like Stairmaster in the living room, treadmill, or
in the morning. Brian, when you said you love 2:30 in the morning. Brian, when you told me you loved me earlier, I mean, did you mean it? Okay.
She has the mindset of a Nick Saban. Of it's constant work, constant.
She's still she's very young though, right?
She's like 30 something.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I think 30 is still young.
For middle age.
I think once you're like 40-ish,
I think about
you're middle age.
Weeks in, I would just look at her and be like, fart. Just fart in front of me, please.
Wait, we can't have a conversation while you're taking a deuce? Like real human beings.
Damn. I take up a lot of
Alondra did not see that one coming.
All right. So it goes back full circle. I can't believe. Oh. I can't believe I'm going to go back on something I said a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
The dog was alive. Okay.
A roving pack of dogs, like Oliver and Company.
Oh my gosh.
So who handles the marketing PR of the Baton Rouge Police? Gino does. Like, we know that the DA's office has a marketing PR person.
Eugene McNeely, a marketing or PR person, because he just reports what they do.
Well, shouldn't you have somebody that kind of is savvy in?
Good question. Good question. Why do you need a spin doctor?
Well, it's not a spin doctor. It's more. Hold on. Hold on.
Oh, it's getting warmer out there. Let's get a look at that forecast. Here's WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. Hold on. There's a show here.
But is a spin doctor really what it is, though? Like somebody who's like, okay, you're framing it this way, which makes sense in law enforcement world, but that does not how the rest of the free world thinks.
Right.
Or, I mean, not a spin doctor, just maybe a better communicator. I don't know. You're right. Maybe a spin doctor.
Becomes a spin doctor. And you don't get.
When did we start having spin doctors? In the 80s, 90s? Actual spin doctors? I know that was bad. C-. You're not getting the Christian Life Award on that one.
There's it. Oh. Gotta let the chorus hit. Huh. 637 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. I'm not even going to try to explain why I'm laughing. Attorney Franz Borghardt is in for Legally Served. I will say, if you're not watching us on Facebook Live, get there! Talking about the Nathan Millard case and being lost in translation. Franz, you said you had a question for me coming back in. We're going to pick back up with what is a murder type of topic in a minute, but you had a question for me.
So we are in 2023.
Correct.
Certain law enforcement agencies do have, you called it a communication officer?
Public information officer.
Right.
Yeah.
Should these entities consider having someone that better communicates, a liaison between people and them? I know you're going to call it a spin doctor. I would call it a marketing PR person.
Okay, and the reason I use the term spin doctor there is because you walk a fine line of, if you say someone to translate from cop to real life, that you walk a fine line of someone to retell the story. As someone's retelling the story, they're putting their own spin on the story. And when they're putting their spin on their story, they become a spin doctor. You're not going to get, there's a big difference between Eugene McNeely and Karine Jean-Pierre.
So
one gives us facts, and it's up to us to raise to the level of knowing what those facts mean.
So the statement, we don't know what happened to this Georgia man. We're still in the process of investigation to rule out that there may or may not be a crime here.
As of right now, voluntary overdose is what we know.
Right, but that would be one way of saying it, right? We're still investigating, right? We don't want to prematurely give information without having the facts to assert it, because we don't want to state what's going on.
No, I understand that, but that's not where we're running into trouble here. Where we're running into trouble is, sorry, the bumper was still in my head. Where we're running into trouble is when the police department says there was no foul play in the death, but we're still investigating how the body got all taquitos and moved over to a different lot. So
there may be a crime, however, it may not be a homicide.
Right.
There you go.
But getting lost in that is, well, how could there be no crime? That's not what he said. That's not what he said. So my question is it on us as the public to pay better attention? And you're asking, is it on the police department to dumb it down for us? Because there's no other way around. They said exactly what happened. They said exactly what we know, or what they know. They didn't say anything beyond that. They don't speculate for sure.
If he wasn't wrapped up like a burrito or taquito, would we even be talking about this? I
figure a lot more tightly rolled. That's why I went taquito.
And I'm not being tongue-in-cheek when I say this. If he's just a deceased person found without his wallet, right?
Mhm.
Our propensity to say foul play
Oh.
changes.
No. You want to ask like 30 more questions along that same line?
I do.
How about this? If he weren't a tourist, would we be getting this
Well, I
level of attention?
I know you think I always go right to a dark, and no pun intended, dark place.
Pun very much intended.
Yeah. When I say if he wasn't a certain race, certain individual, I think you're absolutely right.
Tourist is a different one.
The tourist is the key here. If he was a Baton Rouge citizen who overdosed in any area of town, Sherwood Forest.
Now, let me ask the most critical question about this. If Allie Rice's murder was solved, would the police be out would we be seeing the same path of information here?
That's an interesting question.
They need a win.
They need a win?
They need a win. Like, look, and this
is this guy, but this guy's not lovable like Allie.
No.
Even partying like free spirit Allie's lovable.
Okay. Remember Hangover 2?
Yes.
When the tattoo artist says, "Forget it, Bangkok's got him."
I thought you were going to go with the she boy.
No.
Male.
No.
Okay.
No, I wasn't going that route. But when the tattoo artist says, "Forget it, Bangkok's got him,"
yeah,
they need to avoid a "Forget it, Baton Rouge has got him" scenario here.
Okay.
All right. So out in front, no, this man did not get murdered by coming to our city. Hey, world, you need to know this man did not get murdered coming to our city. Hey, world, you need to know a couple years ago was really bad for homicides. They dropped last year, and they're on a pace early yet, but on a pace to do the same again this year. Allie Rice's unsolved, Devin Page's unsolved murder. Those two things mean BRPD needs to put one in the dub column real fast.
So is Allie Rice
publicly
is Allie Rice an unsolved murder as much as she was dumped by a couple of dudes that had maybe or maybe not gang raped her, and then she got hit by a car on a while
no, that's not Allie Rice.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about what's her name?
Yeah, I know. It's
Addison Brooks.
Yeah.
I apologize to Maddie. Which one's Allie Rice?
Allie Rice was on Government Street.
Oh, yeah.
Stopped at the train after going to hang with her friend over at the depot, being a good friend, and then she caught the train on the way home, and a couple dudes come out and put,
I blew it.
A few dozen bullets. No, it's
there's so many homicides.
But you kind of proved my point, didn't you?
Right.
You kind of proved my point right there.
Right.
Now, Brooks was not, I don't think, a homicide. She got hit by a car because she was beyond recognition with the level of drunkenness and just in a stupor.
Raped impairment.
Yeah. So, yeah, Allie Rice on Government Street, just a few scant blocks away.
Oh, Allie Rice, let me tell you.
So if that crime was solved, would we see the same level of attention, public attention paid to this crime?
So I'll say this. All of this is scary stuff. But Allie Rice to God-fearing, tax-paying citizens is particularly scary.
Yeah.
Because we can all put ourselves in the position of, here's somebody that wasn't doing anything, right? Like, this is literally as if I come to the same intersection and I'm waiting for the government train and somebody just walks up to my car and shoots me randomly.
Yeah.
That's scary, like Gotham City stuff.
But that's why you need that level of clarification. You need that level of PR, if you will, to go out in front and say, hey, this guy wasn't murdered. This guy went looking for drugs and whatever else. And honestly, I don't know if BRPD has gone far enough. You don't want to speak ill of the dead, but hey, he was out hunting for a bad night and he got him one.
So they didn't have to look. If we see someone that quote unquote looks out of place in a bad area of town, and then we see in their autopsy that they have copious amounts of narcotics in their systems, that circumstantial evidence gingerbread trail is easy to connect, right? We're
Emphasis on the ginger?
Oh. See, normally I'm the one that I'm just.
It's the jacket.
I know.
It's totally the jacket.
Haspel,
by the way. Yeah.
Haspel's got good
Shout
stuff.
out. I know.
And it's almost Easter.
I know. That doesn't matter anymore. Haspel's year-round, Franz.
So nobody,
how dare you?
Nobody from BRPD calls me and says, hey, how should we frame this, Franz?
No, I know. But it goes back to your question, should they? Not necessarily call a criminal defense attorney, but BRPD reports the facts. Is there room to say they need to dumb it down for us a little bit? Okay, we are going to break. Got your money now coming your way. Let's talk about this retrial out in Walker next on Talk 107.3 at 646.
There's a. Yep. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Count to 3 before I say anything.
Not
There's
out loud, though.
There's a Taylor Swift song where it's you need to calm down.
Yeah.
Can you play that one?
I can
You need to calm down.
Or a piece of paper.
No calming.
That's one of my favorite. She has some songs that I really enjoy.
She has good songs.
Like, and then she has songs that I'm like, oh
Did y'all
God,
go see her?
she would hide my body.
Did y'all go see her in Tiger Stadium?
I did.
I did. I took Kerrigan.
With Shawn Mendes.
Shawn Mendes
I've
open.
seen Shawn Mendes.
I didn't know who he was.
Misspelling.
I went with
I'm
my
misspelling her name. You need to read. If you didn't see. On the
Okay.
trial I did with the.
Yeah. How do you? I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Turn the mics off.
Yeah, I've done this story. I've covered this a couple. So LABI had a couple people at the town hall yesterday,
Yes.
and one of them, her name's Abigail.
Okay.
She comes from Slidell. So all I did making fun of the east side of St. Tammany.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm from that. I'm like, oh, nuts. Now, to be fair, she went to North Shore, and she was there with Rick Malden, who was my baseball coach in high school. So she gets a pass.
Yes.
North Shore High generally gets a pass. My nephew went there,
What
or
about
my
your high school?
wife's nephew. Do what?
I went by your high school.
Oh.
So I ended up getting to Covington.
So you see what a real preparatory academy is supposed to look like.
So I got to Covington ridiculously early yesterday. Yeah. I went to St. Peter's for a while. Got to do the rosary in St. Peter's. There was a rosary before the kids' mass.
Nice.
Went to a coffee shop on Columbia downtown. It was a downtown coffee shop. But I'm driving around.
The dumpster behind that coffee shop?
Is that where you lost your virginity?
No, that's where the priest and the secretary were burned.
I was changing the subject. people from Georgia?
Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Too soon?
No.
Too soon?
No.
Too soon? I saw your lovely, separate and apart from this conversation, I saw your lovely bride yesterday at Our Lady of Mercy. She was singing. All the women were in the choir.
I know.
Singing.
She told me there was a great response, so much so that she had to go over to the old Adoration Chapel because the choir loft was full.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
She had a look on her face like, I wish I could have been included.
That was not the look on her face.
Or she's tired.
No, the look on her face was, I hope nobody's looking at me. Oh, damn it. There's Franz.
I take a picture. It's tempting to do this deal. Yeah, Covington. I can live in Covington. I'm so Covington.
Hang on. Galen says, and while I wouldn't recommend it, walking around in downtown Baton Rouge looking for drugs and women should not be a death sentence. He didn't die walking around looking for drugs and women. He died when he put the drugs in his body.
I thought you were going to put the woman in his body.
Is everything until it's nothing, right? It wasn't the walking around that killed him.
In fact, juvenile kid, like a kid who's a troubled kid, and the same thing happened to him.
If it's a kid, it's a completely different story.
Well, like not a kid, like a 20-year-old, like has run in with the law a few times, has a troubled past, and the same thing happens to him. Are we going to care that much?
Probably not.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I thought you were saying this. We don't know cause of death. No, and we're not going to know for. Christy says the look on my face was 100%. I hope no one's looking at me. We're not going to know the cause of death for another 6 or 7 weeks.
Like,
I just don't like Patron. Give me 818 first. Do it. Avion 818. .652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP, 55 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. Legally served with Attorney Franz Borghardt of Sport of Mornings with Brian Haldane, rolling right along. Last thing before we move off of the Nathan Millard case is that we don't know cause of death. And I found out earlier this week we're not going to know for a while.
How do we not know cause of death?
Toxicology reports.
What's Bo Clark doing over there?
What's Bo Clark doing? Bo Clark is relying on the place he has to send the toxicology reports off to in order to get back the results. And because of the fentanyl crisis in America, we are looking at a backlog because of the number of just overall problems, this epidemic of fentanyl. We're looking at about 10 weeks from the time he sent it off. So that's this is the time where everybody has to sit back and be patient to know, was this laced? What did this actually look like? And we're still not, even if it was laced, we're still not going to know.
So here's the thing. If it wasn't laced, how do you feel? Do you feel differently than if it was laced?
No.
It's the same feeling either way, right?
I know.
Like, you can politicize it if it had fentanyl in it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't have fentanyl in it, is it like we're all going to shrug our shoulders and say Baton Rouge is going to do Baton Rouge? Because that's really, to me, talking about narratives, to me, the problem is the expectation or the desire to see that drug may or may not have been laced with something. How about the guy just overdosed on drugs?
Well, from Baton Rouge's standpoint, though, from Baton Rouge to Baton Rouge, or Baton Rouge being a safe or not safe place, this guy was walking around downtown after midnight. This guy walked up Florida Boulevard past the bus station after midnight. This guy walked to whatever houses seeking out whatever he was seeking out and was perfectly fine until he took the drugs.
Do you think it was like that movie, Get Him to the Greek, where he's at his hotel?
Never
and
saw it.
He's like, he looks at his hotel lobby guy and goes, I'm looking for my friend. Maybe you know him. First name Harrow, last name Wynn. Heroin. Do you know my friend Heroin? And like the guy at the hotel counter is like, yeah, I know your friend. And then drives him to the, is it like that where he was staying somewhere and it was like, or do you think he just intuitively was like, this looks like a bad area of town. I'm just going to walk there.
Go door to door, see if I can find, hey, got any drugs?
Any drugs? Now, look, I said heroin because that was what was mentioned in the movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
the nature of the drugs
right.
It shouldn't matter.
And we don't know.
What should matter from Baton Rouge's standpoint is this guy was all over town. This guy he covered some ground and didn't get murdered once.
Uber?
No, walking. He's showing up on surveillance cameras.
Oh, okay.
All right, take out the walker. We got 4 minutes
That's
left.
A natural progression.
Yeah. A man who was convicted of killing someone after he broke into their home to steal guns and cash more than 3 years ago was found guilty again after going through a new trial this past week. District Attorney Scott Perilou announced Tuesday that Blason Paul Fife was found guilty of second-degree murder. A jury previously found Fife guilty of that same charge in 2019 with a 10-2 verdict. The two jurors who dissented at the time believed Fife to be guilty of a more severe charge of first-degree murder. Got to ask, as we're retrying all these cases,
yeah, somebody changed the law on that.
Yeah, right? A new trial was necessary after a U.S. Supreme Court ruling banned non-unanimous jury verdicts back in 2020. I got to ask, is there a way to sift through these? Because this felt like it should have been a slam dunk from the start. Did we waste our time? If the only two people who didn't vote guilty for second-degree murder said it was because it should have been worse, like, is there some kind of audit that can be done of previous verdicts to find out the reason for dissension and skip past the ones that are no-brainers?
The problem is the case law says it has to be unanimous. And even if even if the failure to reach unanimous,
just say unanimous.
Unanimous verdicts are based on stupidity.
Like,
I want to give him 2 death penalties.
Right.
It's still not unanimous. I wanted to say anonymity.
So we all have to waste our time and go through this again, and just there's more court fees and billable hours and
freaking lawyers.
Whoever
that's
kind of a cush gig at that point.
Whoever is responsible for changing the law on this.
Just, you know what? There's new listeners all the time, Franz. Let's talk about who's responsible for changing the law.
So that was my legislation.
Uh-huh.
I was the president of the Louisiana Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and that was my legislation. I gave birth to that. It came out of my
pen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, point being is, I agree. Right. That seems like one that there should be some kind of exception. There just isn't.
Because of COVID, we have a backlog. Our district attorney, Hiller Moore, has said this a number of times. It's going to take a long time to get back up to speed because of COVID, because crime has been rampant, because more people are doing more bad things. It's tough for us to get to all the current cases.
Right.
This seems unbelievably stupid to me.
Price of liberty, baby.
Sorry.
If you don't, I'll tell you what I tell Condit all the time. You don't like certain parts of the Constitution, I'll give you a Sharpie, and you can just start scratching about. But that's not what we do. That's not where we live. This is the United States of America. We fly the American flag in this country. Price of liberty is sometimes we get backlogged on justice. And look, by the way, all tongue-in-cheek joking aside, the people that these cases are pending for trial, generally they're all incarcerated. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who's it really prejudicing? The backlog. Is it prejudicing anybody at all?
With the people who are waiting trial, you said?
Yeah, I mean, in the system, if we have to wait to expedite justice, if we have to wait 10 weeks to get a toxicology report back, or if we have to wait to retry a case that was overturned for non-unanimous verdicts because they were found to be unconstitutional, if we have to wait to get the job done right, isn't that okay?
Well, it depends. Because if you're the next victim of the dude who's out on bond because his trial is delayed, then it's going to look a little bit different for you.
If he's
because
out
somebody's
on bond.
out on
If he's out on bond.
somebody who's out on bond, less of a bond than you'd get if you stole a horse in Ascension Parish. If you're the neighbor of that guy who ends up getting unalived because of it, you're going to have a problem with that.
I would give you a challenge.
Okay.
Next time you talk to Hiller Moore, who I have a great deal of respect for, a former employer, ask him, of these backlog cases, how many of the defendants are incarcerated versus out on bond? I think you already know the answer to that. I've already told you what the answer is to that. The majority, the gross majority, is going to be that they're incarcerated.
He is attorney Franz Borghardt. We do Legally Served at this time every week. So we'll do Legally Served at this time next week. Right now, we got to get you to ABC News here on Talk 107.3. We didn't even get to talk about Covington. Darn it.
I love Covington. I'm moving.
Yeah. Here's ABC News Hour 2's up next.
Dude, that